What did you think of them trading Quentin Grimes and acquiring 3 seconds to take on just a 1-year salary of Tim Hardaway Jr.?
Well, first off, I thought it was a solid move. For one, Quentin Grimes has been going through some injuries. We know this. I believe he only played 6 games last year for the Pistons, and they got him at the trade deadline. This is also a guy that you have injury concerns about, that was also probably going to want a longer deal when the time came down to it. And when you're a team that is rebuilding and you've already been battling injuries over the past couple of years, do you want to sink money into a guy that has not been proven to stay healthy? Obviously, the Pistons did not. And I believe that was also a directive, not saying in this particular move, but when you heard Tom Gores talk about his disdain for having all of that money sitting on the bench last year, I believe that probably was a directive to hey, let's bring in some relatively healthy guys. Now, I know people want to get all up in arms about Tim Hardaway Jr.'s postseason performance with the Mavericks last year. How about this? The Pistons have not been in the postseason in 5 years. Let's not worry about what Tim Hardaway did in the postseason. Let's look at what he did in the regular season. He was the Mavericks' third leading scorer behind Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. You're not bringing him in for his defense, but you're bringing him in to be a solid veteran who can be a decent bucket. You also have it on an expiring deal. You're not locked in long term. So now you're back in free agency. So now you have a lot of scenarios at hand. You're either back in free agency next year with some money to spend, or at the trade deadline, if there is a team looking to go ahead and part ways with one of their superstars or all-stars, you have an expiring contract to be able to float and make the deal more attractive. But on top of it all, you have a savvy veteran who's been in the playoffs, who's been in the NBA Finals, that can come into a young locker room and provide the savvy veteran leadership that you need, and also a guy who is relatively healthy. These are things that a 14 and 68 team need. So I don't understand. Well, I'm not going to generalize everybody. I'm just going to say what I think about the move. I think the move was a very good move based on all of those factors combined. There is really no downside to this move, if you ask me.
Yeah, I think initially when the trade happened, because there were reports that, Tim Hardaway was basically going to be a Piston, and they were already in talks. I think some people really like the idea of Quentin Grimes. They like the idea of the potential of him, because if you look at him as a player, he was a 3-and-D prospect that the Pistons got in the Bojan and Alec Burks trade. I think he was kind of the player that a lot of Pistons fans okay, we're getting someone young. He's been up and down with injuries, but he's got a pretty good shot. There was, something to talk about there with Quentin Grimes. I think taking on a 1-year salary of $16 million and then still getting 3 second-round picks, which we're seeing right now this offseason, second-round picks are pretty valuable. Not a lot of teams are giving up first in a lot of these, trades that we've seen. A lot of teams are giving up these seconds. The Pistons got 3 seconds to take on an expiring salary of Tim Hardaway Jr. And to your point, you're getting a veteran. You're getting a guy that is a bucket getter at the end of the day. And I think his role in Detroit will probably be a little bit bigger than it was in Dallas. I could totally see him being out there, kind of taking into that Alec Burks role last year, just kind of being that veteran leader, that scorer. A veteran that, Cade and Ivy can lean on, because he's been in the league for quite some time. He's when he gets hot, man, he gets hot. I remember going to a Pistons game when we were playing the Mavs, and I think he had 35, almost 40 points. He just could not miss. He was unconscious. But I honestly think this move is pretty solid given what they gave up. And obviously, I know a lot of fans are still upset over, losing Quentin Grimes, but I thought, honestly, it wasn't a bad move.
It wasn't. And, and this is with no disrespect to Quentin Grimes, but Quentin Grimes is not a player that just cannot be replaced at any stretch throughout this rebuild. They can go find a guy. that can do what Quentin Grimes can do, whether it's in free agency or through the draft next year. So that's why I said I don't believe they lost anything with getting rid of him right now to maintain some financial flexibility while also bringing in a savvy veteran. So, I mean, I get the potential. The potential, it's there. It's sex. The unknown is always attractive. So, I mean, I understand why some fans feel like that. But if you just look at the long term view of this move, it was really good.
Yeah, I honestly think when you kind of look at just Trajan's first move, I thought this was a pretty solid move. Addressing something that you need more shooting, you need a guy that's going to be relatively healthy, and a guy that you could possibly lean on in crunch time during, if it's a close game. So I thought, honestly, pretty good move to get Tim Hardaway Jr. and 3 seconds. Now, one of the other trades that the Pistons did make, and we talked about this guy earlier, it was trading up the second day in the draft for Bobby Klitman and Wendell Moore. I know we talked a little bit about Bobby Klitman, but what did you think of this trade for the value to trade up in the second round, and you only had to give up your, I think, 52nd or 53rd pick to the Timberwolves?
I thought it was smart. I mean, they had their. Here's the thing that I like about teams, and what I liked about what Trajan did. He saw that there was somebody that could be potentially there that they wanted to grab. And they said, hey, we're going to make this move up to be in position to probably go grab this or those persons. And they got one of their targets. They got Klitman. Wendell Moore, I mean, no disrespect. I don't know if we're really expecting him to contribute much to this Pistons roster next year, just based off of what we've seen from him or lack thereof in the league so far. But the move to go ahead and get up a guy, go and get a guy like Klitman that can be of some value to you maybe towards the end of next season and then beyond, I think it was a very solid move. Another smart move by Langdon. And again, they didn't stand pat. I can sound like a broken record. They saw like they I don't know who they might have had on their target. Like I said, I had Klitman and Reeves as potential guys that could go grab at 37. Reeves obviously went like 10 picks later, but good move. No need to add anything other than that. Just a good move.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna ask you to give a letter grade because some people don't know how to grade those, but I thought it was a solid move. But the Wendell Moore stuff, there's obviously a Duke connection there, so I don't know if people want to do that, but maybe he could be a G League guy. I don't know, but I thought you had to take some salary on, and I think getting Bobby Klitman was just kind of like the main attraction of this trade, because I can't remember the last time the Pistons drafted someone in the second round and they produced this well in the summer league. I really can't.
Me neither. I mean, this guy is just really just showing his what so far, and it's proven to be a good move. I'm curious to see how he's going to look during preseason. That's going to be the real, I should say, sign for me how much time he gets in preseason and how he looks against some better competition.
Yeah, I think it'll be very interesting to see where they slot him at. I don't know if he projects more of a small forward at the NBA level or a power forward. But being that tall and having guard skills, and some of the passes he makes are just wild. But it's insane just the type of prospect he is. He's so intriguing to me, and I think Trajan definitely, and the Pistons, I should say, front office definitely had their eye on him, and I think they're pretty surprised that he was there still in the second round.
I mean, the guy produced at Wake Forest, produced in the Australian Basketball League. I mean, he has some experience. He's been around the block, so it's again, I still think it's a little bit of a project, maybe not as much as Holland, to be quite honest, but. I mean, I think the guy is going to be a steal depending on how he plays in this preseason, those early on games. Again, smart move.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's shooting 40% from 3. In the summer league, and 4 assists a game. That's just like wow, like crazy. But really good move by the Pistons.